Good morning and welcome to the Administration and Operations Committee meeting for December 5th, 2023. We've taken attendance and everyone's in here. I'd just like to start the meeting by having election of chair and vice chair, please. Councillor Chambers.
Madam Clerk, our procedural bylaw allows us to suspend rules. There is a rule, it's actually rule number 94, that the chair and vice chair rotate. And we can still do that, but I would like to move that that rule be suspended, and hopefully a seconder, and then we can go on from there.
Councillor Oakley. Okay, so the rules are suspended for the rotation of the chair and vice chair. Can I have nominations for the position of chair?
Has to be voted on.
I'm sorry. All in favor? Sorry. Thank you, carried. And position of chair nominations, please. Councillor Chambers?
So I'm assuming that passed, and I'd like to nominate the person to my left, the current chair, Councillor Pierce.
Mayor Bailey, you?
I'm seconding.
Second. And Councillor Pierce, do you accept the nominations?
I do, thank you.
Are there any more nominations? Okay, so can I have a motion to approve the Councillor Pierce as chair and close nominations? Thank you. And nominations for vice chair? Councillor Pierce.
I'd like to nominate Councillor Howes.
Councillor Howes, do you accept? Are there any more nominations? Can I have a motion to close nominations and appoint Councillor Howes as vice? Councillor Coleman and Councillor Chambers? All right, Councillor Pierce, do you have the chair?
Thank you. Okay, thank you and good morning. I appreciate the support and welcome to the December the 5th Administration and Operations Committee report, the last one of the year. As noted, attendance has been taken. So we will move on. Bear with me one second here. Sorry, my apologies. Okay, so moving on here, declaration of pecuniary interest. If anybody has any at this time, let me know. If not, if any arise through the meeting, just state them at that time. Approval of this agenda. Does anybody have anything to add? Councillor Bell? Other business, thank you. Anybody else have anything to add? Approval of the agenda. Councillor Oakley, Mayor Bailey. Questions? All in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Declaration of pecuniary interest, as I say, if you do have any, just let us know at the time. Adoption of the previous minutes, if I could, please. Councillor Coleman, Councillor Miller, questions on those previous minutes? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Any business arising from those minutes? Seeing none, we will move on. Consent items to be approved. 8.1.1 RPT 0496 proclamation of events. I'm not sure if Sarah's here. She is. Did you want to speak to it or? Okay, can I get a mover to get it on the floor? Councillor Oakley. Councillor Chambers seconding. Questions on it? Councillor Chambers, then Councillor Oakley.
Mr. Chairman, could I add a day, and that is June 19th? And if you don't know what day that is, that's all the more reason why to have it on there. If you can explain what that day means, Mr. Chairman.
June 19th?
I'll help you out. It's United Empire Loyalist Day. It's actually an official day proclaimed by the province of Ontario by private members bill. And what I would like to do is proclaim that day as United Empire Loyalist Day in Brant County. And if there is a local organization of loyalists, and they may be interested in raising the Loyalist flag, and if they are, then I would like to have that opportunity to be afforded to them. And if they don't wish to do it, I don't know whether he's here or not, Adam Crozier and myself would be happy to raise the Loyalist flag on that day. So that's, don't think it has to be an amendment if we can just add it.
Councillor Chambers, did you not, you added that last year, did you not?
Yeah, it has been added before. It must have been an oversight.
So we'll want to
Maybe
have that
maybe
on
there's
the-
an American sympathizer in the crowd, but for the loyalists here, that day should be proclaimed.
Appreciate that. Any questions on that? Okay, so I guess we'll just classify that as a friendly amendment, just to add it. All in favor of the amendment, friendly amendment? Okay, and then now, as far as the report as friendly amended, all those in favor? Oh, I'm sorry, Councillor Oakley, my apologies, yes, sir.
That's okay. Through you, Chair Pierce. In a similar vein, in 2021, there's a private members bill recognizing the third week of February as the annual nonprofit week of appreciation in Ontario. And that's the third week of February. And additionally, November 20th is the Trans Day of Remembrance. So if we can add those, that would be perfect.
Sorry, third week of February and then November,
20th,
which was,
the Trans Day of Remembrance.
seconder for those? Councillor Garneau, questions on that? Okay, all in favor of that amendment? Opposed? That is carried. Councillor Kyle?
Thanks, Mr. Chair. Through you, one thing that I noticed, and maybe staff has an explanation for it, but in the list, I don't see Family Day recognized, which is the 19th of February, I believe, this coming year.
Sarah's going to come up. Or Stacy, I'm sorry. I don't know, I got Sarah in my head. Called her Sarah twice.
Through the chair, just to answer your question there, Councillor Kyle. Family Day, we just combined with Winter Active, which is the month of February. So we don't specifically do anything for Family Day. It's just looped into all of our other Winter Active activities for that month.
Okay, good with that. Anybody else have anything to add to that? Okay, Councillor Bell?
Sorry, just if I may, Mr. Chair, May the 4th you have Coronation Day. I think that would be a carryover from last year, unless we're getting another king or queen this coming year. I suspect that's just carryover, unless you want to re-celebrate it, which I'm all for. But
Duly noted. Okay, so the report as the amendments. All in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Okay, so moving on to 8.1.2, RPT 0491 23, the 2024 interim tax bylaw. Can I get a mover? Councillor Coleman, Councillor McAlpine. Questions? Seeing none. All in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Okay. Consent items to be received. Does anybody want any of them pulled? There's 3 of them there. Councillor Bell?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Could I pull 821, please?
2-1. Anybody else? Councillor Miller?
Did you say there's 3 there?
I've got
I see 2.
1. Sorry, yes, there's 2. My apologies, there's 3.
Because I have a question on 2.
Okay, so let's just start at 8.2.1. Councillor Bell?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. As ever, the reporting from the water team is brilliant, and it's so detailed. And I think it does help us as we go into budgeting. I'd like to draw attention to what is page 43 of our 230-page document. And my question there is, when is this going to happen? On many of these pages, there is a time element indicated. On this one, there's no timing indicated. And I think there's some big money in there. And I'd be interested to know from the water team, the environmental services team, what the timing is. And they don't have to do it today, but since Rob's there, he can do it today.
Okay. Before you go, Rob, can I just get a mover to get it on the floor? Councillor McAlpine, Councillor Coleman. Sorry, Rob, go ahead.
Through you, Mr. Chair, to Councillor Bell, could you just point out what the particular one is? Sorry, I don't have, the way mine comes up, I don't have the page 43, so if you just help. Oh, so you're talking about the water main addition, Broadway Street. Water main addition? Through the chair to Councillor Bell. So there is a multi-phase project, and parts of it are actually proposed for 2024, including West River Road, or West River Street, sorry. Yeah, actually Mark is the right one to answer this question.
Through the chair. Staff had a meeting on this past Friday to talk about tender schedule and when things will be going forward. Once we need some more time to look at that schedule, and then once that's done, we will bring back a more fulsome schedule and provide it to council directly or through a Friday file in early January, hopefully. But we will provide all that information and start advising residents when things may be coming and impact them. And we have planned not to do work on Broadway and West River at the same time as doing things on Grand River Street to ensure that there is always that one travel pathway to the downtown.
Good. Thank you, Mons.
Councillor House.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you, further to that, I'm wondering, because we do get asked a lot about kind of when's this going to happen, when's that going to happen, and sometimes those schedules move and we don't always know. But I'm wondering what our plans are for doing more of a broad communication strategy to the public to say, you know, here's the next 5 road projects and when we anticipate that they're going to happen.
So through the chair to Councillor House, my team is meeting, actually, like we're having a team meeting on Friday, and we're having communications come and have a discussion with us on how better we can work together to provide information like that. So that's part of our discussion on Friday, and we will be doing more communication through them and media releases and things of that nature to provide the general public. Plus, as projects start, we're going to start providing letters to the public in the area saying, this is the initiation of the project. It's been approved by budget. We're going to start the design with the likelihood that design will take 2 years and construction this year. Like things of that nature will be discussed on Friday, and then how we start implementing them and providing that information to the public.
Yep, Councillor House.
A quick follow-up through the chair. That sounds great. And I think just based on the amount of dialogue we've had from the public, it wouldn't hurt to be looking at like every 6 months. We give them a reminder, even of stuff that we've already told them, because not everybody sees every press release, every Facebook post, every whatever. But I think it wouldn't hurt to a couple of times a year reinforce and remind people of what those scheduled projects are. Just a suggestion.
Anybody else? Seeing none, we have it moved and seconded. All in favor of the report? Opposed? That is carried. Okay. Moving on to section 9, staff reports. 9.1 is RPT-0, or sorry, 8.2.2. See, I split them and I forgot. 8.2.2 RPT 0451-23, drinking water quality management standard. Councillor Miller.
Oh, I thought you wanted it on the floor. I'm moving it.
Yep, and Mayor Bailey seconded. Questions on the report? Councillor Miller.
Just, yeah, 2 questions of the same nature. The first one is nitrates at Gilbert Well are going up. Does water staff know why? Second question, salt at Bethel. That's been going up for a while. My understanding was we had hired a consultant to look at that and find out why. I don't know if that's been done. But does water staff know why that is?
Through the chair to Councillor Miller. So firstly, the nitrates at Gilbert clearly are related to agricultural activity, and you know, we need to monitor that, and we do have a strategy for how we blend the wells and whatever to make the finished product meet the drinking water quality standard. So we are monitoring that and watching that. Actually, although some of the development proposed in that area might make the sodium worse, it may make the nitrates over time better. And we're actually in a study on that right now. As far as Bethel goes, clearly the salt there is related to winter maintenance, and we certainly have to come up with a better strategy on that, and we're working on that as we speak.
Councillor Miller.
Okay, thank you, Rob.
Councillor Bell.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to Rob. Rob, on the section which is called operational performance, in the subsection for Paris, you talk about planning a hydrogeological investigation to identify potential sources for improved redundancy in the Paris drinking water system. Are we seeing signs of stress on the system that requires us to put more wells in place? And was that part of the Paris Master Service Plan?
Through the chair to Councillor Bell, that's a big question. As far as stress on the system, you know, we're through the Paris Master Service Plan. We are looking out for development and the like as to what the long term is, and we do have a long term plan there. And the long term plan is either to develop a new well field or to do a connection onto Brantford. And we're in the discussions with Brantford on that that item. And as they do development actually out at the area of Oak Park and Powerline, the systems would almost be interconnected there, and that certainly is a discussion point. So that is the main point of focus for that item going forward, as to where that supply comes from and how we're going to implement that. And that area, as you can tell from driving around there, the servicing activities for that development in that area is underway.
Just a quick follow-up, Mr. Chair. So if I understand you right, Rob, then we're not seeing signs of stress that are causing us to advance activities. This is just part of the plan that we had already.
That's correct.
Thank you.
Any other questions on that report? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Okay, now we will move on to staff reports. 9.1 RPT-0479-23 Municipal Drain Progress Update. Mover, please. Councillor Oakley. Councillor McAlpine. Greg, did you wish to speak to it or just questions? Okay, any questions on the report? Councillor Chambers.
Not going to get off that easy. As Greg moves to the podium, actually, I don't have a question, but I do have a comment, and that is with regard to the progress made in revitalizing the drainage program in the county of Brant. For many years, this was almost dormant, and if you let a sleeping dog lie and wake it up, sometimes there can be large problems. There have been issues with regard to billing. Some property owners have complained quite vigorously in some cases about the bills they get with regard to municipal drains, but overall, I think the at least the agricultural community is thankful and respectful of the municipal drainage process. I think the staff, through what Greg has been doing, and our drainage superintendent and our manager of public works or operations or whatever we call them nowadays, they should be commended, because municipal drainage can be difficult to administer because of some property owners, and I know they've went through a lot. So I just want to thank them for the work that they've done. And at the end of the day, municipal drains need to be working, and I think the county of Brant shows that they take municipal drains seriously now.
Thank you for that. Any other questions on that report? I have one quick one, if I could, Greg. On page, I guess it's page 5 of the report, when it talks about the proactive approach, it says beginning 2025, there's a number of things there that we're going to do proactively, which is fantastic. It says create an up-to-date inventory of municipal drain infrastructure in the county. Do you know when that was last updated? Can you remind us?
Through the chair, I don't know when it was last updated. I know we have, so this is talking about creating an up-to-date drain infrastructure. So I don't know, it could be 40 years, because some of these drains were built and then they functioned, and we didn't go back and do regular maintenance because it wasn't requested. So as part of this, what we're going to do, and we're trying to take off small pieces at a time so that we do it properly, we're going to walk these drains, and we're going to bring up, we're going to enter the current condition of the drain to see where the works are. So that has not been done. It's almost like doing an asset condition assessment. So that's just a brief sentence stating a much involved process that we're looking at.
Okay, no, I appreciate that, and that just kind of goes back to what Councillor Chambers was saying there, that we're taking this seriously and doing a full inventory. So kudos to that. I appreciate that. Okay, any other questions? We have a mover and a seconder. All in favor of the report? Opposed? That is carried. 9.2 RPT-0483-23 Community Safety and Wellbeing Committee and Plan. Can I get a mover? Councillor Howes, Councillor Kyle. Questions? Seeing no questions, all in favor of the report? Opposed? That is carried. 9.3 RPT 0501-23 County of Brant Multi-Year Accessibility Plan. Can I get a mover? Councillor Oakley, Mayor Bailey. Questions? Seeing no questions, just one comment. That was a very good report. Learned some stuff off there, so that was good. Mayor Bailey.
Through you, Mr. Chair, I understand we have a new hire. Is that right, for accessibility? Maybe you could tell us a little bit about that if it's true. And if it's not true, forget I mentioned it. And there's a mental health piece to him too. He's worked in mental. Oh, that's great. Thank you.
Great news. Yeah. Thank you for bringing that up, Mr. Mayor. Any other questions on that report? All in favor? Opposed? That is carried. 9.4 RPT 0514-23 Intimate Partner Violence and Gender-Based Violence Committee Action Plan. Mover, Councillor Kyle, Councillor Oakley. Questions? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? That is carried. (9.5) RPT 0512-23 2024 fees and charges update. New fee. Mover, Councillor Coleman. Seconder, Councillor Bell. Questions? Councillor Bell.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. On page 2 of the report, there is a line which says, reviewing and approving each condition is a daunting task, which requires much county-wide staff resources and time. Is $5,000 enough?
Okay.
Through you, Chair, to Councillor. Yes, $5,000 is enough. It's a new fee, so we will be monitoring this as we implement it and ensuring that staff's time is appropriate for that fee. We feel it right now it is.
So just for my benefit, if I may, Mr. Chair, so typically how much staff time does it take to do this?
So when a developer provides the package for clearing conditions, obviously you've seen those conditions as a draft plan of subdivision in front of you. There can be 40, 50 clearances at sometimes. So our administration ensures that each one are met. And then they correspond with staff across the county to make sure that the details are also met. So they may be dealing with fire, with operations, with planning staff, with building staff, etc. So it does take quite a bit of coordination.
So again, that $5,000 sounds like it's nowhere near enough. Sorry, in my experience. I'd be interested if you could just give me one example. It doesn't have to be today. Friday file will be fine. Where we just say for a substantial project, this is how much time it took, and then just put a price to it.
Happy to do that.
Thank you. Councillor Miller.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Pam's up there, through to Pam. Pam, I'm grateful for the work staff did in having the county assume the subdivision out by Highland, because that was a multi-year effort, I guess. Do you see something like this helping to prevent that kind of situation in the future?
Through you, the chair, to Councillor, this fee is quite separate from that because the process that we undertake now has timelines where in the past a lot of those unassumed subdivisions that are legacy files didn't. So developers are much more quickly getting through their clearing of conditions than they once were.
No, okay, I'll go with that. Thank you.
Any other questions? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Committee reports and minutes, 10.1, Brant Connects. Can I get a mover for both of them? Councillor Oakley, Councillor Chambers. Questions on either of those reports? Seeing none. All in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Communications. Judy Kostaniuk, County Issues and Concerns. Any questions on that? Councillor Miller?
Yes, Mr. Chair. I put it on there because I wanted to ask a couple questions. The letter writer has identified maybe 4.5 issues in there. So there's a lot in there. I'm grateful to Rick Knapp for helping me with a couple of those as far as why we don't paint yellow lines on some roads. And you'll see a lot of roads, particularly wards 1, 4, and 5, where we do not have that separation line. We should almost get a Friday file for that, because that's not the first time I've dealt with that. And I know other members of this council have dealt with that as well. And as far as the indoor track goes, again, that was referred to rec staff. Philip had a look at that. But I wanted to ask about some things. I know if somebody gets a complaint about speeding, we refer it to Brant Safe Streets and all that stuff. What I wanted to ask was in regards to lights at intersections. We had a very, well, they call them dark corners there at Bethel in Mill Street at one time. And a light fixture was put in. And I'm just wondering, what's the best way to deal with a request, say number 3 for a light standard at an intersection? Because I know some residents would like a light there. I know some residents aren't crazy about lights, but what's the best approach to deal with a request like that?
Who can help us out? Greg? Okay, thank you.
Through the chair, there's 2 options. They can call the operations office directly and make the request, and then we'll investigate. Or they can actually go through Brant Safe Streets, because it is a concern. I've dealt with these in the past, and they do say it's a road safety concern, so they can go through that, and then that documents when the request came in, and then we have an opportunity to gather the residents' information and provide feedback once we do the investigation.
Okay. Yeah, no, that's good. I think we'll try the Brant Safe Streets option on this one. Okay, thank you. I did not know that. So,
Councillor House.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chair. While Greg's up there, the 4th point about roundabouts from this resident, and again, that's a topic that's come up in terms of roundabout design. This resident is asking some questions about visibility, and my understanding from a couple of years ago when this came up was the intention with roundabouts is for you not to be looking across the roundabout at traffic. You're supposed to be looking to your left, and that's why sometimes the roundabouts have foliage or pressure treated fences or whatever. And I understand that, and I'm happy to convey that messaging to the community when they ask, but then some of our roundabouts don't have that. And in her writing, she's saying roundabouts were invented to keep traffic flowing. They should all have proper visibility. She's referencing mounds of dirt blocking visibility, especially at Powerline by the Brant Twins Arena. And that's where I thought, okay, that's intentional. But then she says the roundabout at King Edward or George ? And Bethel is set up nicely with good visibility. So I'm just wondering, does it depend on the size of the roundabout, whether you don't want people looking directly across the circle, or I just wonder if you could fill us in on that for future reference.
Through the chair, I'll defer this to Mark for the design.
Through the chair, to Councillor House. For all roundabouts, if they're large enough, we want to have that mound of dirt in the middle, like have that inability to look straight through everywhere possible because it improves the safety that you slow down and just look to your left. I believe all of our designed roundabouts that are large enough right now all have something in the middle. If they do not, it's because of timing, and that was why we did put the fence in the middle of the one at Powerline, because it was done ahead of when the landscaping was done. So we wanted to provide that inability for the majority of the public to look straight through. I think the one that she's referencing is not one that we've built because we don't have a roundabout at Bethel. So I don't know I'm not 100% sure which one that is referencing. I know the region is back and forth in what they've done. Previous where I was before, all the ones I'd built all had a mound in the middle because that is a standard practice to ensure that people slow down, look to the left. They don't think the road goes straight through, so no one inadvertently drives straight through the middle. That's another issue with not having the mounding there. When they see headlights at night, they may think that the road goes straight through. So that's why. So we will continue to build them the safe way as like we get through like our knowledge and also through our consultants' knowledge when we get the designs.
That's very helpful. Thank you.
Mayor Bailey, then Councillor Miller.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Chair. I think people need to be told too that things take time to grow. If you go to Ancaster or if you go to Waterloo, some of the roundabouts that have been there for a while, I'm thinking about the one on Jerseyville Road, just past Copetown. It's probably the nicest roundabout around because it's been there for so long and everything has grown up. And it looks like it sort of sprung out of the road there, and it's not only very attractive, but it does exactly what they wanted it to do. But it took about 12 or 14 years for that to happen, and we're putting them in and being criticized after 6 months. So I think maybe people have to understand that it takes time to grow.
Councillor Miller.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. For this particular item, this was a let Rick Knapp call the resident and talk about that as well. But this fourth item was brought about because of the letter writer was aware of an auto accident in that particular roundabout. And through you, Mr. Chair, to staff, the number of accidents in the roundabouts, are we where we should be? Are we lower? Are we higher? Any information you can give us on that?
Right.
Through the chair, I'm sorry I don't have the statistics for that right now. I do have the ability to grab that and information, and I can also say from a personal perspective, I haven't received a lot of calls about accidents in the roundabouts. I did witness one, but it was a minor fender bender, and it was during the winter time. So I do know there hasn't been any catastrophic accidents at any of the roundabouts that have been recently built. So,
okay, I'll just add. Yeah, no, I understand that roundabouts you usually don't get the catastrophic accidents because of the slower speeds. I mean, as a counselor, I've heard a lot of people just complain incessantly about the number of roundabouts on Rest Acres. And then I hear from another group that are just they think it's the best thing since sliced bread. So, I don't know. I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Councillor Chambers.
Just an observation, Mr. Chairman, to staff with regard to the roundabouts. When I go back home, I go through them at night, and the double lane roundabout, it's really important to have a visible line discriminating between the two lanes, because if it is not visible, people think it's one lane, and I've been passed, and it can be a hazard if the lanes aren't delineated so people can see them. So just an observation.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments to that? One comment I will make to that letter there, Councillor Miller, is when they talk about the yellow lines, I think 8th concession between Bishopsgate and even Maple or all the way through to Harley Road would be fantastic to have some sort of separation line there, because that's a tough one. But thank you for bringing that forward. I guess we'll just move to receive. Councillor Howes, Councillor Oakley. All in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Thank you for that. Councillor Bell, you had something for other business.
I do. Thank you, Mr. Chair. The other day, I had a demonstration of the artificial intelligence system that we've applied to the junction at Grand River Street North and William. I could have at the same time looked at Bishopsgate and King, and I could have looked at, I think it's County Road 18, there's another one. And I'm going to suggest that we have staff come and give us as council a demonstration of what we've put in place and the potential that it has. But let me just step back a little. I thought it was working. It isn't yet. It isn't working yet. Apparently, an artificial intelligence system that helps us improve our road systems needs to learn. And there's a period when it learns. And I heard from Sean Yacoub from BME, who's project managing that it will probably be March or April before there's enough intelligence in the system for it to operate to our advantage. And we've seen quite a few emails, and Chair Pierce and I have seen a few from local residents saying, stupid bloody system doesn't work. Well, you know, it doesn't work because it's not working, not set up to work yet. I think we missed a trick in our communication of that. We should have advised that there's this learning period, and it will take time before it has an advantage. But for those that don't know the system, there are multiple cameras mounted in each direction of that junction. And there's an amazing slew of statistics that's being collected. Traffic volumes in every direction, peak volumes, the number of times people run red lights, the number of times a truck trailer goes through town. And it struck me that that's a real useful data set, both for us, and I think it would be helpful to the OPP as well. So I would like that we have that brought to council, that people understand the potential that we have there. And as a purely practical note, as we are collecting peak volumes and traffic volumes, we should be continuously checking whether our master transportation plan assumptions are holding true. And you know, when we say there's 1,000 cars a day coming through this junction, we can now measure it. I think it was 18,000 or whatever the number was, but a big number. But we ought to be able to just check that, because if we suddenly see that there's more than we thought, then we need to react to that now, because we'll end up with a problem coming our way fairly shortly if we don't. But that's my recommendation to this body. If I need to make a motion, I will, but hopefully it's a simple direction to staff to have them bring it back to this committee when it's convenient, but hopefully soon. Thank you.
Okay, seeing none, thank you for that. We'll move on. I do not see anything for in camera, which brings us to the next meeting, which is not until next year, January the 16th of 2024. Motion to adjourn. Councillor Oakley. Thank you.